All right, welcome back. So I don't know. This is report on the nations. Um, they literally titled their report "Oyinbo Kemi."
Is
But
that in the Nation newspaper?
yes, the nation's newspaper. Yeah. So that's actually the title. That they titled it. But I'm actually going to look at a couple of other, a couple of things that I want us to look at when it comes to Kemi Badenoch. We're talking about Kemi Badenoch, the new.
Yeah, but don't you think for once that the way Nigerian compatriots are savaging Kemi Badenoch, they too are really playing to that script that they ought not, because what is in it? This is almost like pull her down syndrome already. Everybody gets so overzealous that she talks about what we already know. Just for example, when Donald Trump said at the time that, oh, have you seen anywhere where Africans are running their affairs that has not, handled, that does not look like an ash hole? I don't want to use that word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
SO
you
country.
said
Like an
yes. Do, do,
Mhm.
do you think he said something that just because he is white, he said it?
You
If
know
any
what?
of us
I agree with
had,
I agree with you, but before we get too much into it, for those who might not be familiar with who Kenny Badenoch is,
okay, me bad no case, let's take the story.
yeah, let's take the story. But not just to cut you off, I agree that every time you point a finger, there's a good chance that four fingers are pointing
Four
right at
fingers, that's right.
you. Yeah. So, and that's really my overall take when it comes to Kenny Badenoch. But I think we should do the story justice.
Yeah, it's all right. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
So Kemi Badenoch is the newly elected, I think, the leader of the.
Leader of opposition in the British
Mhm.
Parliament.
Yes, in leader of opposition in the British Parliament, as well as the leader of the
Uh,
Conservative Party,
yes.
as of November 2024. So
And
she,
British Parliament does not, we are just talking of House of Commons, in the House of Commons, not in the House of Lords. So go
okay,
ahead.
right. So she's powerful now, especially with all this viral news over the past. In fact, recently, last Saturday, I think she was out here in DC, hanging out with the likes of the JD Vance and them. So, so she's making moves. But anyway, she's of Nigerian descent. In fact, her full name is Olukemi Olufunto Adegoke Badenoch. So she's also married to a white man. Some people might find this offensive, but it is what it is. That would also explain a lot too. Or could explain a lot, I should say. She's the first black person to hold those offices that were mentioned earlier on. She served previously in the cabinet of Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak from 2022 to 2024. So, by any stretch of our imagination, this is not a small person in the UK, you know. But there's a conversation here on I think the Punch News that I really want us to take on.
Yeah, you were talking of Oyibo Kemi as portrayed by the Nation newspaper.
Nation. So are you more interested in that? You want us to talk about that one?
I want us to deal with all the reports on her from the Nigerian local media.
I think I think the Nation one is. I think that's fair since I already mentioned it.
Thank you.
Nation Online NJ.net, which is the Nation newspaper in Nigeria, they're reporting that Kemi Badenoch may need to beware of the pratfall ahead. It is what hubris breeds. Really, it's a woman accused of hubris. What is hubris? You want to enlighten us on that? What the hell is that?
Well, I can't readily place a handle on that. Probably a new word to me. What is the spelling?
Hubris. So they say really is a woman accused of hubris, perhaps a few like Cleopatra. Hubris is often a male venom because women seldom rise to the sort of power that invokes celestial self confidence. So they're telling her to check herself essentially. Uh,
Yes.
In this regard, Badenoch is a class apart. Many don't want a rehash of Badenoch's rhetoric without restraint, her Nigerian put downs, her repudiation of the land of her birth. Yet, as the cleric Bishop Cooker has eloquently written in a recent essay, we must credit her ability to traverse a country of pedigree that enslaved blacks and built a civilization on the backs of the African race. She thinks she was plucked from the sky, a dizzy genius of self manufacture. She does not seem, in her habits and attitude, to know gratitude to history, to go down in genuflection to the monuments that made her possible. She is not the first to sow rise. We have known blacks, especially in the United States, who either star as inspiration for others or, for most part, take a cue from the words of an unlikely hero of humility, Winston Churchill. He said, "It was the people who had the courage of a lion that simply had the luck to give it to roar." Obama acknowledged the exploits of centuries of blood and tears, of white butchery and black scorching through the mud, bowed by lashes. Serena nods to Arthur Ashe. Coco Gauff thanks Serena. In Britain, Formula One Lewis Hamilton thanks all of them before him, especially in the US, but not without knowing that you can't be a pioneer without the collective sacrifices of little people. I think we get the gist here, right? So,
That's
but
right.
have a take on Kemi Badenoch and all the
Yeah,
reports.
see, the gist of what you just read that piece from the Nation, right? The
Correct.
gist, yeah, is almost aptly captured by Hugh Langston, the poet laureate from Joplin, a neighboring state of Missouri here. And where he wrote, let me just paraphrase that: Mother, life for me has not been a stele of crystal.
Hmm.
Yeah, you see, the no matter how we look at it, the black person,
Mhm.
by way of identity and totality, has been through so much in the hands of all kinds of people, all kinds of races. You're going to talk of Caucasian people, whites. Of course, they have had their own moment of rebirth, rethink, or epiphany, and they are more refined to. But how about Arabs? You're going to take a panoramic survey of 10 countries that hate black people. Chief amongst them will be where many Africans love to go to: Mecca, that
Hmm.
is Saudi Arabia,
Mhm.
Japan, China. All kinds of people think the African is at the base of the pyramid when it comes to human civilization. Meanwhile, Africa is the cradle of everything. That is what the article by the Nation has succinctly proved. But let me also zero in on the ongoing debate.
Yes.
Number one, Kemi Badenoch must have lived certain experiences that must be peculiar to her while in Nigeria. And nobody can take that from her. To want to take that from her is to make an attempt that would be horrible and outrightly evil by way of a fostering mental health hazard on her. That would be wrong. But I think the mistake she's making is to apply that as a broad stroke to wipe off everything that is Nigerian. For example, how many of us have not witnessed the wickedness of the police in Nigeria? But I also have police friends in Nigeria that I can vouch for,
Right.
honestly. But again, are you going to say that there are no officers, not just in the Nigerian police force, the Nigerian army,
Mhm.
that conduct themselves in manners that will be considered as beneath our place as the foremost black nation in the world? Certainly there are. We cannot live in denial. Now, whatever Badnoch said, Badenoch is not the political equivalent of Nigeria's vice president. How did Shettima, the vice president of Nigeria, get himself in that debate? To the point that he was now advising that KEMI could drop the KEMI in her name. That is wrong. That is wrong. And it is so super sensitive to people like us who witnessed how a prominent Nigerian politician who was in the opposition to the ruling political party in Nigeria's Second Republic was rounded up and then thrown outside Nigeria and was labeled as a non-Nigerian. That is what Shettima has simply attempted repeating here. This debate does not concern him. It is not the political equal of KEMI Badenoch in Nigeria. If Vice President Shettima is looking for his political equal, it will be the Prime Minister of that country. If not the Prime Minister, probably the Deputy Prime Minister. But certainly, the equal of the head of state in England is Nigeria President. Forget the Commonwealth arrangement that makes Nigeria a subordinate of a United Kingdom. Now, Badenoch also has made some mistakes in trying to play the divisive card, almost saying that Southern Nigerians or she, as somebody from Yoruba area, has nothing in common with the average Northerner, because according to her, Northerners are the ones who end up as Boko Haram and what have you. That is rhetoric taken too far. That is rhetoric taken too far. Absolutely. So in this case, you say what?
That's terrible that she was.
Yes, that is rhetoric taken too far. But you also find some people who are somewhat jaded within. In this encounter and exchanges, almost also saying that the Yoruba is the most dishonest in Nigeria. What is the essence of all that? It is needless. The point must be said, because if anybody is going to be in denial about what Badenoch witnessed, I, as a young boy, of course, you were alive then, although you were still, you were much younger. As a 12-year-old boy approaching my 13th birthday, is it something that has not affected me psychologically that I witnessed the axing of my uncle to death and then his remains set alight? And then a prominent Nigerian newspaper reported this incident happened in Akure, August 16, 1983. But the following morning, a prominent Nigerian newspaper that is still in circulation today reported on August 17, 1983, that the person that was killed alongside my late uncle was his Babalawo. Outright lie. And then they want to take this. If Badenoch had experienced that kind of thing, you want to take that away from from her? If anybody comes after me for revealing how people in my family were gruesomely assassinated, that person would have to take me out before succeeding at foisting on something untrue on my mind like that. So, for different strokes, for different folks, there are different strokes. Your experience about Nigeria may be different from mine. But don't come around and say Badenoch is a liar. I have seen a prominent Nigerian journalist always using such derogatory terms on her. In the final analysis, Ola, the same people who would want to go to any extreme to see if Bola Tinubu has a compromise on him, if he's an asset to CIA, are the same people that will now want to turn KEMI Badenoch to Nigeria's assets within the British system, within the British establishment, for the sake of all that is good. Many of us hold dual citizenship. We know how to strike the balance without playing a spy against one system or in favor of one system. She is an adult. You see, there is these same people who want to see her as a turncoat, as and what would you call her? I mean, the opposite word for uncle is aunt.
Mm-hmm.
As instead of Uncle Tom, they want to see her as Aunt Tom.
Mm-hmm.
The same people, they die every day to get visa to go to UK, to go everywhere, and when they get there,
Mm-hmm.
even if they are right up within Nigeria, there are contributions on Nigeria media, within the Nigerian media. What do they say about Nigeria? The fact that you come out saying the truth does not make you an enemy. It only means that we all are involved in the project of evolving a better, stronger, and saner society. This is the way I look at the KEMI BADENOCH issue. I don't know if we still have any time or this is the last segment.
This is the last segment.
Now, let me smuggle in the issue of ECOWAS, which will turn 50 years in 2025. It was established in 1975. Yes, the center is not holding like it used to, because countries like Burkina Faso, I think, what's it called, Niger, and one other, they have pulled themselves out and kissing up to a country like Russia that is, I mean, that means nothing well for Africa other than just plundering and stealing and then using it as, what's it called, a proxy or satellite that could be remotely controlled for the selfish interests of Russia. For you to lift your eyes up onto the mountains, onto the hills, asking for help from God, then you would have been able to describe, or you must have seen what God has done, his might in the past. Whether Kremlin, you're talking of Kremlin Russia, whether you're talking of it as a communist enclave, as the disintegrated Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, or Russia of today, Russia does not even successfully feed its citizens. It doesn't, it spends outlandishly to project this strength of being a superpower. But it's a country with its internal struggles and economic failures. So when African countries shoot themselves in the foot and look up to Russia for salvation and destroy something so good, something so important like ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, and then they call themselves the New Sahel Group, just group of three.
All right. So I don't think that's brief enough so that we don't confuse people.
Yes.
Brief smuggle. It's not brief enough.
Yes, but please, just let me make this point that...
make the point.
Whatever is good about ECOWAS should be kept. This window of 6 months through which the Niger Republic is exiting, and whoever wants to go, they can also still have a rethink, because once that door is shut, they don't come back and they make it to look like Nigeria is the architect of their misfortune. And because of the issues of Niger, you saw the way some people outrightly, the same people that are knocking on KEMI BADENOCH now, outrightly they were really snitching against Nigeria and were rooting for Niger, all kinds of people, their elements. I don't want to use words that are, that shows that I'm being disrespectful. But you saw all this, and these are the things that really show that Nigeria is just still a project at work. It's not yet perfect. And every day, all of us, we are struggling to attain that perfection. That said, see you next week.
All right. So now, before we go, we are about 3 minutes over. But I want to know your thoughts on this. So Reno Omokri made a statement that I found interesting. I wanted to read it to you, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, right? He made this statement on Twitter on December 12th. So this would be about 4 days ago. So when this whole thing was very fresh. So, and I quote, I am proud that the Nigerian, Kemi Badenoch, a member of the parliament and leader of His Majesty Opposition, is the highest ranking black person in the United Kingdom. But Kemi still has a lot to learn in life. Mrs. Badenoch should recall that when Anthony Joshua was arrested in 2011 on drug charges, the headline in all British papers was something like this: Nigerian boxer arrested with drugs. I heard her. Nigerian boxer.
Yeah, I understand what you say.
With drugs, yes. So I urge her office to please fact check me. But when the very same Anthony Joshua was a gold medal in men's super heavyweight boxing at the 2012 London Olympics, the headline in the British papers read, British boxer wins boxing gold. Within a year, Mr. Joshua transformed from a Nigerian to a Briton. What a miracle. The British media are celebrating Kemi because it is currently chic to do so. There is, after all, some novelty in the fact that she is the first black person to hold such an exalted position. But she would do well to remember that she is only British and not English. And when she makes a mistake, as we all do, the British media will remember that she is Nigerian in their
head. I agree with this op-ed from Reno Omokri. Okay. But let me also tell you that before, usually it's the choice you make. For example, when in 2016 or 2017, I was taken to the Candy facility here, and on a spurious and what's it called, wrong accusation of domestic violence or what have you. Now they asked me, while being processed, the police asked me, do we contact Nigerian embassy? I got there. I called them in their antic, in their game. I said, so why Nigerian embassy? The guy kept quiet. I said, of course, that is offensive because I am an American. I am an American citizen. Now, if I had failed that test, they would throw it at you. If you take the bait, then they begin to characterize you as a Nigerian, and then they will frame the story that, this is the way of Nigerians. But here, I'm a Nigerian American. If I'm arrested in Nigeria, yes, within that principality or that jurisdiction, I will be a Nigerian. In the United States or global whatever, as a Nigerian, my American citizenship is what I will cling to. And if you dare try to want to deny me that, I can also take certain action that will make me a couple of dollars richer. So, yeah. Understand the name of the game when they throw it at you.
Right. So he continues, right? He said, I urge Mrs. Badenoch to learn from Barack Obama. Kenya has the same teething challenges as Nigeria, and in many areas, Nigeria is far ahead of that East African country. Yet, Mr. Obama never demarketed or disassociated himself from Kenya. He visited Kenya, promoted her, and proudly spoke about his Kenya heritage.
Please take a pause there.
Yes.
People talk about things they do not know. They should go on YouTube. When Barack Obama was introduced as an African and Kenya at a given Nelson Mandela Memorial in South Africa, he quickly pushed back on that. He said, I am an American. He said it. Yes, but we do not deny the fact that we have roots. We can always trace our addresses in Africa. So when people push all these things, they should be very careful. Because if Obama gets on the world stage, a former American president then begins to embrace Kenya nationality like that, of course, we know that all else will break loose in America here. People should not pay. Yes, out of excitement, they should not say things. I mean, they should say things exactly the way they are. Obama, everywhere, wherever he goes, yes, his father was from Kenya, but he is an American. People should understand this.
So he continues, says, to paraphrase a popular proverb, success has many fathers, but failure has only one mother.
Sure.
Mrs. Badenoch may want to acquaint herself with the case of former British star footballer John Fashanu. When he was the darling of the football-loving Brits, he was called British, and he did not associate with Nigeria. Then scandal came, and the headlines changed from British footballer to Nigerian player. Today, Mr. Fashanu lives in Abuja. I hope and pray that the same fate will not happen to Kemi. Mockery. Anyway, I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, very, very instructive. Yes, nice conclusion. But let me also say this.
Yeah.
Because I also see the way Nigerian journalists and all kinds of people, the way they lie that all of us overseas, we do menial things. And if I even do menial job and it pays my bills, how is that? I mean, where there is dignity of labor, how is that supposed to be something that should lead to my denigration? Yes. Why would the dignity of my human person not be respected? Mm-hmm. Now, this is more on the side of Nigerians than Britain trying to embrace Kemi Badenoch as one of them. If Kemi Badenoch had been doing stuff today, if she's not enjoying this prominent, this public profile, because success has many families. If a story had been otherwise, would everybody be trying to identify as a Nigerian?
Be gone by now. I think it would
have
been. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I returned to my birthplace in Nigeria, that's when people say, "Oh, it's Biafra today, is Oduduwa, tomorrow is Arewa," I laugh, because even when you have those, people will tell you, "Go back to Usho, go back to Ayede Ogbese, go back to Akure, go back." And that is what we are saying about people who would say, "Oh, in America, send away the undocumented, what's it called, immigrants." And after that, what will come next? It will be like, "Oh, he's from Nigeria. Oh, that one is African American," and all that. You never would have that thing you aspire to. So everybody should shoot the sword and just let us celebrate our humanity. Yeah. It does not matter whether she came from Nigeria or wherever she came from. The fact that she talks about her experiences does not make her a bad person. And the fact that Nigerians also love to own her does not make us bad either. All I'm just saying is that we should temper everything. Okay. Yeah, we should take it easy. Cool it down.
I think our story is a story with lots of lessons on both sides. But let me ask you this one last question, and then we'll round it up right now. Is Kemi Badenoch using Nigeria inside her British power strategy?
Possibly so. I'm not inside her head. I won't be able to say.
Okay.
Possibly so. Yeah, but people kiss up to all kinds of stuff in order to consolidate and get to the ultimate place. But what I see to say that the British society is not yet familiar with. If you read, if you read a book like Lonely Londoners, authored in the 50s, I guess, by Samuel somebody from West Indies, you find the characters like Moses Galahad and what have you, Nigerians, you would laugh. Even beyond that laughter, you understand that, as Yoruba say, Ogun ọdún tí rélùwé tí ń rìn, ẹkú wájú ló máa kílẹ̀. So Badenoch is not the first guy. I mean, it's not the first lady or Nigerian to be successful in England. Nigerians have been rolling that climb for ages. Okay. Ambrose Campbell, Kesley Efford, from Ghana, everywhere. The Adeyemo Alakija family from Lagos. Nigeria, I mean, look at somebody like Orlando Ekwano, former slave, captured from Etsako, because people wrongfully think Orlando Ekwano is Igbo. I don't know where they got that wrong impression. He was captured as the son of a high chief of Etsako, the present Isha land in Edo State. That's where Orlando Ekwano came from. And you're talking of 17-something Britain. So Badenoch is just
You
a lady of the moment, and
so
we
sorry.
always have. Yeah.
So sorry.
I'm,
Your answer to the last question is that you don't know, you're not really in ahead. I take it in. But I want to ask you a more mathematical question so we can run up.
that's it. But understand, I'm not as good in mathematics like you all are. But go
So it's
ahead.
just simple scaling. It's just a simple
Yeah.
scaling.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances that Kemi Badenoch is an Alanti Tommy, the equivalent of an Uncle Tom?
Possibly so. If
What
she's that,
on a
see,
scale
if she,
1 to 10 chances?
maybe on the scale of 7 or 10, but then if that is the character she's wearing now, thinking that she would climb to the what's it called, to the pinnacle of the politics of the conservative in Britain or United Kingdom. Honestly, the moral of it is that she will be used and dumped. That's all.
All right, that's it.
That is always the way it ends for every Uncle Tom.
Ooh,
Yeah, it only means that the slave inside the chamber inside the house thinks that he is better than the one that lives in the cabin.
the house nigga, huh?
You got it. You got it.
All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you for being here today. Do us a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. Hopefully, you've been enlightened, educated. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless.